Hey everyone, and welcome back to Bridging the Gap. Make sure to leave a like on this video down below and subscribe. My name is Alvin. I lead right on those issues, and I'll be representing the Republican side.
My name is Luke. I lean left on most issues, and I'll be representing the Democratic side. Hey guys, in this video, Alvin and I are going to be giving you our bipartisan kind of a political analysis of the events that have taken place on the presidential campaign in recent days, namely the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump and uh, Mr. Trump picking Senator J.D. Vance as his running mate.
Yeah, so I think this is a really good time to have this sort of bipartisan discussion because obviously, as a country, we've gone kind of far in our political rhetoric and just really not talking to the other side of the aisle in terms of policies and politics in general. We've just gone too far in our little echo chambers, and that's what leads to this sort of violence. And, it's been going on for a while and it really needs to stop. Um, Obviously, we know about the assassination attempt 2 days ago on the former president, where he was speaking at a rally and he was basically sniped, and the bullet almost went through his head. I mean, he turned at the very last second, which made it go through his ear, and obviously drew blood. And obviously, afterwards, everyone's seen the clips of him pumping his fist, and screaming "fight," and then being whisked away to his car. What were your initial reactions to that?
I mean, okay, I'm not even gonna lie. I was completely taken off guard by this. This was happening at 6. I was playing video games with some of my friends. Um, and yeah, like I was just kind of taken aback at the news, obviously completely shocked. Um, but yeah, like and also like kind of scared for the country at that point because it really like that kind of political violence, like this kind of political violence has really been like ratcheting up in recent days. But yeah, I'm glad I mean, some people did die. I think one person it was one person was killed in this attack. And I mean, it could have been worse. I mean, Trump got out pretty much unscathed, so that's pretty lucky. But yeah, like I mean, even as a Democrat, it's like it's shocking stuff. I don't really wish death on anybody in the United States, especially like what a public official like Donald Trump. And I think anything that like against I mean I think I'm more of the opinion that he should go to jail and not be uh murdered, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we've seen a lot of political attacks recently, and there's just basically been an era of no civility. You had that Nancy Pelosi attempted attack at her house. You had that Steve Scalise shooting. You
Yeah,
had that Rand Paul attack. Just too many things have been going on recently on both
you're
sides of the
right.
aisle, and you know it's just not okay. It really has to come to an end. And yeah, I mean, I think we've all the social media and all these personal attacks on politicians makes this stuff happen.
Yeah.
What were you trying to say?
Yeah, I was just saying, like, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, political violence has been increasing recently. I mean, we've seen it with Gretchen Whitmer, like the kidnapping plot
Oh
against
yeah,
her. Brett Kavanaugh, like I think a couple of years ago, there was someone trying to like
so
hunt him
many. It's
down.
tough to name.
January 6th, like there's been like a lot of attacks on like politicians in the last few years, and yeah, it's just because we were so divided at this time. But I think another takeaway from this is that like I think we kind of we had a good amount of unity after this, which like like Biden came out and gave a speech, like, and there was kind of this universal like we need to fight against political violence from both sides, and like this has to come to an end. This type of like this response to politics. Politics is supposed to be like what we're doing now, like having healthy debates and conversations, not outright like bloodshed. And the fact that it's kind of been devolving into that in recent years is definitely like really scary stuff.
I for I forgot who said this, but someone said politics should be kind of boring. And I kind of agree with
For
that. I
sure, for
think
sure.
I think politics needs to stop being this whole spectacle of being an actor and doing photo ops and just be a little bit boring. Um, yeah, we need to, as Biden said, turn the temperature down. We have this map of just, I don't know how the gunman even got to this
Yeah.
point. I mean, it's clearly, I mean, at least from this angle, the only high up building that is there that's not occupied by snipers. So I don't know how this building wasn't cleared. And obviously how someone was able to get such a good vantage point. We had witness accounts that people were talking to law enforcement already and Secret Service telling them minutes before the shooting that there was someone there with a gun and there was no response. And yeah, that
Yeah.
left someone dead, that left Trump's ear grazed and left two in critical condition. So that's really what happens when we have these mistakes. These mistakes cannot happen. The Secret Service needs to be better, and
Yeah,
that's
really.
that.
Yeah, it's really just, yeah, you're yeah, absolutely right. It's a complete failure by Secret Service. Like, that is crazy how someone could get that close to a former president and like one running a campaign with a rifle. This is like I heard this was like the first major assassination attempt on a president or presidential candidate since Reagan in 1981. Like it's really just like crazy stuff. Um yeah,
Yeah, I mean, obviously, not only was he the former president, but he's the leading candidate. He was the leading candidate before the shooting, and he's gonna be even more so leading
oh
after this.
yeah.
Let's talk about the political fallout that's gonna happen here because we know from experience that Trump has been outrunning Senate candidates in all the battleground states. Trump has been leading Biden in almost every poll that's come out after the horrific Biden debate debacle that happened. And overall, Trump has been leading as a presidential candidate ever since June. And so now that we're into July, it was 2 weeks of a horrible news cycle for Joe Biden, right? You basically just had
Yeah.
Democrats slowly leaking from the Democrat camp on Biden, and Trump just gained from that because the focus is off of him. Both men are quite unpopular. Well, were unpopular. I mean, I bet Trump's favorability is going to go up for sure after what he did and pumped his fist and everything. But aside from that, both men were unpopular, and so when Biden got the attention, it was worse for Biden, and when Trump got the attention, it was worse for Trump. And when Biden got that attention for those 2 3 weeks, it was bad for him. Now we have another good news cycle for Trump with him, obviously surviving an assassination attempt and then pumping his fist like a warrior. I mean, even you said, right, that just gave you some type of new energy. I think that's going to help Trump turn out his people. All he has to do is put that photo on a 5 minute ad everywhere in the fall, and his supporters are going to go out and vote for him. But Biden supporters are absolutely demoralized. They have nothing to go vote for. And you just have this whole dynamic where now we have the RNC. And so that's another generally positive uh, news cycle for the party who has the convention because no one is covering any other narrative. The whole political news, landscape is just that one convention. Now it's overshadowed by a president that survived the assassination attempt. And when
Hmm.
he gives his speech at the culmination of the convention, everyone's going to go crazy. Now he has this whole theme of unity, which I think is going to help him taking the high road for once. I've never seen Trump do that ever before. And I guess that transitions into the VP pick.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to make one more comment on your points before and how I think it'll affect
Yeah,
the
sure.
race. I mean, I think I'm not sure to the extent like I doubt because people have already formed their opinions for the most part on Trump. I doubt he might get a small favorability bump from those like people who aren't really attached to politics who don't really follow it much. I don't think it'll be anything that really lasts though. Um, but I think there's two things here. That it definitely projects. It does make that stark comparison, like with, sorry, stark contrast with Biden, in that Trump's taking a bullet and standing up there and yelling "fight" with an American flag flying behind him, and Biden, it's a stark contrast from Biden's debate performance, where you really see kind of Biden looking really weak. So I think just in terms of strength and weakness, like who looks like the strong man, like I think that it'll help image wise with that. And that really goes to my second point, and what you brought up earlier. I think this will definitely uh, play a big role in turning out Trump's base. Like this is definitely going to energize his voters even more. I'm sure his voters are energized now, and this is really just going to help with turnout. And that's a great thing to have because especially in contrast to Biden, who's really struggling. I saw like a poll today that said like only 30% of Democrats were enthusiastic about Biden as the nominee, which is incredibly low. And that enthusiasm gap is definitely going to play in a turnout. So if Trump's turning out his base in like absolutely record numbers and Biden's not doing that, then the election just goes to Trump at that rate.
Yeah, I agree. I think honestly 30% is high. I mean, I have not really seen Democrats enthusiastic about Biden at all. Maybe
Yep.
10%, I would say. I feel like 30% is high for sure. Anyways, let's dive into the VP pick. Trump has picked Senator JD Vance, who's still in the first 2 years of his first term. He's a millennial. He would obviously be the youngest VP in terms of generation wise ever, and he presents a stark contrast to these old candidates, right? And that's probably something that Trump took into account. We previously said that JD Vance would be one of the weaker picks electorally for Trump. We thought that other leading picks such as Rubio and Glenn Youngkin would have been a lot better, and even Doug Burgum would have been more of a flat line, and JD Vance probably won't affect the race too much, but probably doesn't help Trump either. I do think that Trump picked JD Vance because after the assassination attempt, I think he knows he's in a very strong position and just wants someone to continue his legacy. JD Vance would also be what some people would call assassination insurance because now Trump can't be sure he won't be assassinated anymore. So now he needs someone that would actually carry on, what he would do. I think JD Vance is the closest person to Trump in terms of that ideology wise. There are a lot of problems with JD Vance, though. He doesn't really add much to the ticket. He's sort of just Trump, but, very much younger, right? How many years younger is he? Like 40, 45?
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, he's basically just Trump, but three generations after Trump. Uh, and, he has a lot of inflammatory statements against Trump. So, that's great ads for the Democratic side. Not really, great optically there, but I think just Trump just doesn't care about that anymore. He wants loyalty and he wants a good presidency because he knows he's the big favorite now for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to make of the Vance pick. I don't think it's a good pick at all. Okay, from looking at it at an electoral perspective, it's bad, and from looking at it, I mean, just policy wise for me, obviously I'm a Democrat, but yeah, I think he's just a really bad pick too. Like, so I guess I'll start electorally. In 2022, which was supposed to be a red wave year, this guy underperformed Trump. He did worse than Trump in Ohio. He won by about 6, while Trump won the state by about 8. So already, like, I'm like, who is this guy going to bring that's new to the Republican Party? Who's he going to bring over to vote for Trump? He doesn't really bring in a new demographic there was speculation about Rubio being the vice president on the ticket. He could bring over Hispanics, or Tim Scott on the ticket. He could bring over some African American voters. This, like, JD Vance is just, he's just kind of Trump but younger. And I mean, as we can see in his one election, worse electorally. So I don't really see him performing in that function. I don't really see what he brings to the ticket other than I guess youth, energy, and enthusiasm, which is fine in its merits, but usually you want a vice president that can complement you. Um, and yeah, I mean, there's other things to consider with Vance being picked here. I mean, we mentioned before he's kind of against Trump back in 2016. He described himself as a never Trumper. He even went as far as to describe Trump as the American Hitler. I mean, obviously since then he's changed very vigorously to the far right and the sort of isolationist America First Trumpism. Like he's one of the top Republicans in um, campaigning for the US to get out of Ukraine and kind of end our involvement in that war. So yeah, really like just on every front, I don't like this guy. And even in terms of like helping Trump, I don't really see how he does that.
Yeah, I don't see how he helps Trump either. I mean, he could maybe like turn out a few more rurals, but I just don't think Trump needs that. He needs suburban voters, he needs moderate independents, and someone like Glenn Youngkin would have done that. Someone like Rubio would have helped him shift Hispanics, I think, a very substantial amount, especially in the Sun Belt. But I guess he doesn't need the Sun Belt at this point. I don't know, man. I think this pick is kind of sketch. I think Youngkin would have been probably his best pick, maybe Rubio. But yeah, I mean, too bad, so sad. It's Vance, so we move
It
on.
definitely. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
go on. What do
Something
you want
else
to
I wanted
say?
to mention. I think it kind of undermines like this unity, this image of unity after the immediately
A
after the
little
Trump
bit, a little bit.
assassination, because it's like yeah, like immediately after the assassination, Trump, Vance came out and blamed Democrats and their rhetoric for the Trump assassination attempt. So like, I mean, I think it very much undermines that. And like, I don't, yeah, the fact that you're just kind of doubling down on this MAGA image instead of trying to bring over new voters definitely kind of undercuts that. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I have my own thoughts on the rhetoric. I feel like everyone's rhetoric needs to change, like literally everyone's rhetoric. So it is what it is. I think we need to change as a country in terms of rhetoric. Hopefully, that assassination attempt has a silver lining in that it does that. Hopefully we just have our political debate and stop with the inflammatory language that's just literally everywhere and needs to stop. So. Ever since assassination attempt, look at the betting odds here. Trump started the day before this whole thing with at 60 cents on the 12th of July. Afterwards, he surged to 65 cents, 67 cents. This range, after he survived the assassination attempt like a badass, he surged like 5 cents. And after this whole thing happened, and you have the RNC now, you have more polls coming out in Pennsylvania and Virginia with the New York Times, Siena poll, and you have the Vance pick. He's up to 69 cents. I don't think the Vance pick actually boosted this, but you do have this whole
yeah,
unity thing at the RNC, so that probably did boost it. you know, I think Trump is probably just growing his power even more. He's getting into the best political position of his life over and over again. He's not backing down. He just keeps getting better and better. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I think we're just gonna have to accept this new electoral landscape because that's what it is. We have Trump Vance versus Biden Harris,
yeah.
and that's what we're going to be talking about. I saw something with the Mike Pence thing with the whole Trump Pence yard signs. You can just take out the first two letters of Pence and just replace it with Vance, and then you don't have to buy new ones. So Trump Vance versus Biden Harris is gonna be the new race with Trump heavily favored. You know what? Scratch that. I can't even say it's Biden Harris. Is Biden even? It might be Harris,
I
someone
think at
else.
this rate,
But
Biden is
yeah,
definitely the nominee.
probably no. Well, 33% of people still disagree. So, oh well. Let's move on. Thanks for watching, guys. We had a good video here, and the news is in. So thanks for watching, guys. Leave a like, comment, share this video, and subscribe if you're new, because we'll have all the latest news and how it affects the elections. Thanks for watching.
See you guys.